you have a fondness for the action games and movies of the 80s and early 90s? The ones with stories about a deadly and nearly impossible mission, where there is only one person who is a bad enough dude to possibly succeed with such a dangerous task? If so, then Prison City is here to take you on a retro ride filled with burly badassery. Before we start that ride, be sure to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where you can get early access to videos, exclusive videos and live streams, access to the internet's most friendly Discord gaming community, and more. Back to Prison City. It is a 2D side-scrolling action platformer in an 8-bit style developed by Retroware and Programmancer, and published by Retroware. Players will control Hal Bruiser, a former cop who was called back into action because he's the only one with the skills capable for the job. The city of Detroit has previously been evacuated and then was used as a fortified mega-prison. However, the prison has since been taken over by a terrorist organization who have installed wardens to control the prisoners as their personal army. It is up to Hal Bruiser to infiltrate Detroit and take down the wardens so the terrorists lose control over the prison. Hal attacks with an energized chakram that he throws and will return to him. The amount of damage it does is determined by a weapon meter that will quickly refill, so players have the option of using multiple quick attacks that do less damage, or slower but stronger attacks. Power-ups can be obtained that will increase the power of the chakram up to 3 levels. Grenades can be found that will clear the screen of enemies. Hot dogs can be obtained that will restore life, and there's also a special power-up that grants temporary invincibility and also damages nearby enemies. The objective in each level, except for the final one, is to locate a contact in the level who will then give you a key card that you can use to access the room where the boss is located. While the path to the contact and to the boss room is usually rather straightforward, there are also other areas that can be explored at each level where you can find additional power-ups. These can be nice for boss battles, but there is no penalty for not exploring these other areas. After completing a tutorial area that teaches the gameplay, the other levels can be selected from a screen and chosen in any order. The levels that can be selected are Rooftops, Freeway, Stadium, Preserve, Cold Storage, Factory, Power Plant, and Sewers. Some of them also feature sections with a different style of gameplay, like how the first section of the Freeway level is played while riding a motorcycle, and one of the boss fights in the game consists of a modified version of Pong. Some of the locations can make the gameplay elements seem really absurd in context, like having Hal recover his health by eating a hot dog he found in a sewer, but that adds to the fun of the game. Though eating things that would be very unsanitary in real life has long been a tradition in video games. After all, I'm sure many of us have at one time restored a character's health by eating a turkey found in a wall of a vampire's castle. Hal will face a variety of enemies on his mission, and these can include soldiers, robots, rats, mutants, and even hockey goons. Most of these can be taken down easily with the chakram, but there are a few who have shields, are capable of blocking, or are damage sponges that will require more strategy when encountering them. In addition to his attacks, Hal has the ability to slide, grab onto the edges of platforms, and also grasp onto pipes. These abilities are both useful in navigating the levels, as well as in evading enemy attacks. The text in the game is rather minimal, as is typical in a game of this sort, and mostly consists of a mission briefing before each level, and dialogue when interacting with the contacts. And these can include a child genius scientist, a robot who struggles with using human euphemisms, and a dolphin who is capable of speaking with humans. The graphics and sound in Prison City do a great job of recreating an NES-like experience. The pixel art is very well done, and the energetic soundtrack is very fitting for the theme and gameplay, and it adds to the feeling that you are going around kicking ass with retro tude while playing. There are multiple difficulty settings, and the levels and bosses themselves can vary quite a bit in how challenging they are. While this does have some kind of a challenge you can expect to find in an 8-bit action game, with things like flying enemies who will attempt to hit you while jumping, so that you fall off to your death. You can also make the game more forgiving by lowering the difficulty so that falling off a cliff resets you at the last place you were on land before falling, instead resulting in a death. So this can make the game more playable for modern players who might have an aversion to some of the cheap difficulty in retro games. The bosses of the game are a bit of a mixed bag. Some of them are pushovers who can be defeated very quickly, and others can drag on a bit to the point where they might start feeling tedious. Though they are generally more positive than negative, and the best ones add a lot of fun to the overall experience of the game. If you like 8-bit action platformers and stories with gruff protagonists spouting one-liners, then you'll likely find Prison City to be an enjoyable experience. It accurately captures the charm and the feel of its inspirations, while also adding fluid controls and quality of life features that will make the game more accessible to modern players than games from the 8-bit era typically would be.